Alright, Bulldogs, so I've got a video for you today where I'm going to be talking about the difficult books on sex that all men should read. These books are not easy reads. They are going to shatter some of your beliefs about women, about relationships, about sex, but they're important because sometimes we need to challenge our beliefs. Sometimes we need to challenge our viewpoints. And a lot of you guys, unfortunately, you've got that Mr. Nice Guy and you don't have a real good connection with reality and how women really think and how they operate. So the first book that I have on this list, and I've done reviews on most of these books, you can check them out in the description. So the first one is by Neil Strauss. It's called Truth. Okay, he is the author that wrote The Game. I'm not putting The Game on this book. Most of you guys have already read that book, but most of you guys couldn't stomach reading Truth. I couldn't stomach reading the book at first as well. In fact, I didn't read it for a long time because I didn't want to read it. In fact, when I first started reading the book, the truth, so to speak, it made me sick and I didn't want to continue reading the book, but I forced myself to continue reading the book, and it's good. Neil talks about the real truth about his relationships, and he was a pickup artist for a while, and he ended up developing addiction to that, and whether you call it addiction or not, sex addiction, but he had problems with relationships, with monogamy, with his girlfriend, and trying all kinds of things. Like, he was trying to basically, this book is all about trying to figure out what is the ideal way to live as a man. Like, how can you operate? Is it a menage a trois? Is it monogamy? Is it, what, and he tried it all. He tried orgies. He tried every single thing under the sun. And he came to some conclusions about that, and he's very honest and raw about this, but this will kind of shatter your beliefs, guys, about what women are like and what they like and what they're willing to accept, and some of the crazy shit that goes on here that is pretty insane. Again, I don't believe 100% of what he wrote in this book, to be honest with you, but it's still, like, every guy should read this book because it goes through, like, all the things that you've thought about. I guarantee you, Neil Strauss, has encountered and lived and wrote about in this book. And it's hard. There's some hard truths in here. And, fundamentally, at the end of the day, there's not a good answer. There's not a good answer because we are wired biologically to be one way, but societally, we're engineered a different way. And they never fit. There's always going to be some kind of conflict and aggression and issues because of that. And unfortunately, like I said, this book offers no solution, but it's something to be aware of as a man. The next one I'm going to put here is by Rollo Tomassi. It's called The Rational Male. Most of you guys have read this book. This is where the red pill kind of ideology came from. Really critical, really important book. Talks about some really important concepts like hypergamy, right? This idea that women will always be seeking out the higher status guy and always be looking for their options to see what's out there. It's not something that is malicious. It's just baked into the biology, and we've got a lot of biological, quote, issues ourselves, but this is something to understand. This is truth, right? And a lot of guys can't face this truth. A lot of guys have this concept of one-itis, and they get hung up on this girl, and they don't realize that these girls are wired a lot differently than what they think, and that almost a romantic notion of love is more of a man thing than a woman thing, even though it's portrayed the other way. And this is really, again, another really tough truth to understand, is that women have adapted. Basically, they have an ability to get over men, right, a lot better than men do of getting over women, like, and leaving them behind, and when they find a better quality, a better opportunity. Again, this is not malicious. This is not something to think that the world is so bad and people are so mean and women are so evil, but it's something to understand that this is actually how things happen. So I recommend definitely read The Rational Male. Really good book. Every man should read this book and understand the principles in this, and this will change your life. Next, The Evolution of Desire. Okay, this book, again, I'm going to actually group these kind of two books together, which is The Evolution of Desire and Sperm Wars, okay, because they have a lot of the same research, a lot of the same content. We're going to talk about the evolution of desire first. It's a little bit more clinical. It talks about, how men and women's desires and how they're formed and the biological basis of these things based on biology, on mating, on evolution, okay, so that you can understand why things work the way that they do and how fucked up things are and how that you think that this loyal person is not so loyal because we're instinctively driven to seek out what is basically a short-term mating strategy and a long-term mating strategy, and this is kind of biologically proven. Again, Sperm Wars, okay? You can check out the book here. Put all these links in the description as well. But Sperm Wars, another really hard truth book, right? There's stories. This book is laid out in a bunch of stories, and it talks about biologically there's actually different kinds of sperm, okay, that maybe you guys didn't know that. I didn't realize this until I read this book. And they're engineered. There's like defensive sperm and blockers and attackers. Basically, we're wired to be able to fight other men's sperm, okay? And there's a whole bunch of genetic ways that we've adapted in order to be able to pursue these mating strategies, and women have as well. And the way that human beings are so sneaky and able to accomplish these mating goals, it's very scary. It will shake your beliefs in humanity, but it's true. To some degree, we are like animals. We are trying to basically optimize the spread of our DNA. You need to understand the fundamental truths and the things that drive men and women so that you can adapt and understand how to operate in this world as a man. Otherwise, you're going to be at an extreme disadvantage, okay? So, again, this book is hard. There's a lot of tough situations in there. There's a lot of truths that you might not want to know, but you need to know them, all right? The next one is a little bit lighter book. It's called The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida. I've recommended this book many, many times because it's a really good book. All men should read this book. Again, it has some difficult concepts. It has some things in there that are tough to digest. Do not get the audio version of this book. Get the printed or the Kindle version, because the audio version is a totally different thing. It's a recording from one of his seminars. I don't know why he titled it the same way, but really, really good book. A lot of really good concepts in there. The very first chapter in the book is so critical in understanding that you cannot wait for things to be done as a man. You have to realize that it goes on and on. A lot of concepts about understanding women and the difference between masculinity and femininity and the psychology and how you have to be strong as a man and what is required of you, honestly, as a man. The final one I'm going to recommend here is called My Secret Garden. And again, this one is for the brave among you, right? All of these books will fucking rock your world, I promise you. But you have to be especially brave to read this one, because this book is a bunch of anonymous women's secret fantasies and desires, and some of the shit gets pretty crazy, okay? Where you'll be like, oh, my girlfriend or significant other or whatever wouldn't think about this or have it. Bullshit. This is what really goes on, right? This is collected from a ton of different women, and women have basically said, yes, this is definitely it. And so there's a lot of crazy stuff in there, but you have to understand this. You have to realize this, and this will change the way that you look at things, the way that you look at sex as a man, to understand that these are the things that women actually want and desire, and it may be threatening to you. In fact, all of these books are going to be threatening to you, but as a man, you need to read these books, and you need to understand these concepts, and you need to you need to tackle with these difficult things in your life. They're going to be difficult, okay? They'll be difficult probably for women to read, but more so for men, because we've been fed this kind of bullshit lie of how things are supposed to be, and you're supposed to be a gentleman and nice guy and all this bullshit. Again, I'm not saying being an asshole. These are the books, the difficult books on sex all men should read. I recommend that every man read these books. There's plenty of other books out there, but these are the fundamental ones. I'd probably say these 6 books. If you're going to skip one of these books, The Evolution of Desire, but don't skip any of the other books. You need to read all of these books. Like I said, all the links are in the description below. If you've got another book that you think should be on this list, honestly, okay, leave a comment below and I will check it out, and maybe I'll update the video. But I've read pretty much all the books that there are on this topic doing research, and I can tell you that these are definitely my top picks, and I can't think of another one that I missed, and I can't think of one of these, like I said, besides perhaps Evolution of Desire, that you should skip. You got to read all these books. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. If you want to get more book reviews like this, more information about how to be a better man, how to develop the Bulldog mindset, make sure you click that subscribe button down below and become a fucking Bulldog. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.